Hey, welcome back for part 2 of the engine build series on my 5.3 liter LS. In today's episode, I will be installing the heads onto the block that we finished in the previous episode. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. I'll have a link in the description below. The first step was cleaning these 799 heads with the same chem dip that we used on the pistons. As you can see, they came out pretty clean. While doing that, I also checked to see if any of the valves were leaking and allowing any fluid to escape between the valve and the casting. Only one valve seemed to be leaking, but we planned on doing new valve springs in a valve job anyways. So the first step, as you can see me doing here, is just to remove the old springs and get the valves out of the castings. On the top of each of the springs, it has a little retainer, which I'm removing here, and that connects to the top of the valve stem, and that just prevents the spring from flying off the valve. Now that the valve springs are all removed, you can see the only thing that remains is the seals, which I chose to remove with a pair of pliers. This part is really satisfying on these DoD engines because all the carbon buildup on the valves, they just come right off with a little bit of Scotch-Brite and some oil. You can go ahead and just use a drill. Put some tape on the end so that it doesn't damage the valve at all. And then go ahead, I put some WD-40 and then I have a little bit of oil on the Scotch-Brite. And then just go on like a slow speed and move the Scotch-Brite up and down, and it should clean the valve stem pretty quickly. Down towards the base of the valve, you're going to have to put a little bit more pressure. Make sure you get all the corners and edges and everything, and you should be able to get it to come out like mine. Here's a little side-by-side comparison of what the valve used to look like versus what it looks like now. You can see all the carbon just comes off completely, and it's left looking almost new. Now I'm just going to hop over and do the rest of these real quick, and then we'll be back and installing them. Now that the valves are all cleaned, we can go ahead and start grinding them into the actual head. Here I'm just putting some of the Permatex valve grinding compound on it. You don't need a lot at all, just a little bit on the edge, just to be able to where it'll actually contact the head. Then just spread it around evenly on the edge of the valve, and you can go ahead and put it in the head. Okay, this next process is kind of time consuming, so I chose to use a drill to speed up the process. You can do it by hand, but I've always had good results using a valve lapping tool and removing one end and just putting it into the drill chuck. The only hard part about using the drill is trying to keep the tool centered sometimes. You should be able to tell when you start to make progress because the compound becomes less gritty. Okay, now that I finished this one, I'm just going to speed through the rest, and then I'll check back in when I'm done. Okay, so this is how the seats look now. The whole point of doing this is just to make sure that no exhaust or intake gases pass while the valve is closed. So this should be a completely airtight seal now. Now time for the rewarding part. Here we have our Brian Tooley Racing dual springs. All new seals and everything. Super nice kit from them. I'm just starting by putting the valves in the bottom side, and then I'm going to end up putting some paper towel to keep them pushed up, just so that the tops of the stems are always showing even when they're flat on the table. Because obviously the chambers are a little bit inset. Starting by just putting some Permatex Ultra Slick engine assembly lube right on the top where the valve stems are going to meet the seals. Good. Just make sure that the seals are pushed all the way down. They make a tool for this. I just use a socket, which works fine. Now you can go ahead and place the springs on. Then use your spring compression tool. That you do need the tool for. Once the springs are compressed enough, you can go ahead and put your keepers in. That just holds the springs in place. They can be kind of a pain to get on. You might just have to fiddle with it a little bit, but you'll know when they're in the right spot. Here's the springs fully installed. They look awesome. Huge shout out to BTR for these springs. Huge upgrade over the factory ones. We've got a new set of LS7 lifters from Trickflow because our previous ones that were in before got destroyed. Here's just a quick side comparison. This is the old one with the new Trickflow. It's enough looking at them, let's throw them in. They come pre-oiled, but I still like to put a little bit more on them just to make sure they're lubricated. And then I went and got new lifter trays. I suggest everybody does, they're super cheap. Now to start, I'm just going to put these All-Star Performance dowel pins in. I put them on the block side just to be able to hold the heads in when we go ahead and put them on. I just went with the GM head gasket. We'll see how it holds up. And then of course the ARP head bolt kit. Okay, now that the heads are installed, we can go ahead and get on to our next BTR upgrade. We have their Trunnion kit. This is the V2. It's super time consuming, but 100% worth it. Factory rockers have such bad needle bearings in them, it'll ruin an engine in 2 seconds. The first thing you're going to have to do is remove the old bearings from the rockers. Then here you can see me pressing in the new bearings. I just got the Summit Racing Trunnion installation kit tool, and honestly it works fine. One quick thing to mention is just that BTR suggests that you put the writing on the outside of the bearing facing towards the outside of the rocker. So that's what I'm doing here, is making sure that I can find the writing. It's kind of hard to see on some of them, so just make sure you do that. The last step is just putting the retainers on, making sure that the clips are set and flat. Then we can go ahead and put them in. After I'm done with this one, I'm going to just do the rest off camera because they take forever. So I'll have 15 more of these to do. Now just make sure that the trunnion moves freely, and we can go ahead and put our push rod in. Okay, I'm back, and now all of the trunnion upgrades have been done, and we go ahead and we get all these snug. All the push rods are in, everything like that. Now we can go ahead and actually torque them down. This will be the last part of this episode. On the next episode, we're going to be putting on the oil pan, valve covers, front timing cover, and really finishing it up. So stay tuned for next episode. That should be the final engine build series one. After that, we'll have obviously like the trans and the clutch and all that fun stuff. But thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you on the next one.